All right, welcome everybody. It is July 5th, 2022, and this is the Clock Custodian Community Meeting. As always, these meetings are public, recorded, and put on YouTube, so be cognizant of that. And as always, we're also under the code of conduct for the CNCF, so please be excellent to each other. We've got an agenda here today, and I'll go ahead and share my screen. Welcome back if you're coming back from holiday. If not, I hope you have a holiday in your future. I got a few announcements here that we'd like to start. Clock Custodian Workshop at Scale 19X. That's a Southern California Linux Fest. Myself and Sunny will be there to do a workshop on that Thursday, July 28th. And I've added the link there if you go. If you're in the area, Scale's like a really great show. Very cheap, community run. So you got a lot of just people who are like nerds there doing cool cloud stuff and things like that. So if you're in the area, let us know. Similarly, we're also going to AWS Reinforce. I just added this link here. That's going to be Kapil. Umair, are you going? Did you mention you were going? I think you're going.
Yes, I'll be there. Kapil will be there, and Sarah would be there too.
Okay, awesome. So if you're going to that, holler at us so we can hang out. And lastly, Cloud Custodian, after applying for like a very long time, the CNCF talk is now taking votes to move Custodian from sandbox to incubation. This has been a long multi-year process. And after that comes the process for graduation. If you're interested in helping out with that, let me know. But mostly very good news here, as not a lot of minus ones yet. So we're pretty happy. I bought a bottle of really cheap champagne last week and celebrated. So lots of good stuff there. All right. And we've got PRs. So anything else to add to the agenda? We've got about 2 weeks of activity to go through. How long did that take? Kapil, when was your first PR for incubation? I want to say June of last year.
I mean, when did you first start the process for CNCF and start our security review, which was regarded as an incubation for blocker for incubation? That is probably summer of 2020. No, 2019. As far as when we went into CNCF, that was always our goal from the start.
Mm-hmm.
As far as when the actual PR was fired for the talk, when post review, I believe that was 2021 early.
April 27th. Here it is. But yeah, it's been a long time coming. So that's good. Anything else? Any other open agenda items before we get to some PRs here? I know some of these are AJ, and he's not here today. He's on holiday. So we'll just get through what we can. The first one I want to bring up is 7538. This one I want to bring. Is it this one?
Yeah.
This is you volunteered to work on this, Sonny. Any updates on this?
Yeah, I just saw that Mike Gray just commented that everything seems to be working. There was there's like a local install issue that caused that problem.
Here it is.
Yeah. Any other?
Second paragraph mentions an oddity.
Yeah, that one I'll take a look at. I don't know if that's like he says, if it's related to this PR or because it seems like he was saying this in prior installs. But if anyone else has any interest in GCP mailer, to definitely check it out. It refactors a bit of the way that we send the messages to the various targets like Slack, Datadog, sort of centralizes it. So yeah, if you're just running the AWS mailer or Azure mailer, this does touch those other two mailers a little bit.
Yeah, that's why the second paragraph was the only real concern. Just awesome to get this landed, which is we shouldn't see messages per resources in AWS either. We should only see messages batched on an execution context of an AWS or a region account pair. That this is mentioning that it's sending batch emails per resource sounds like a regression, and if we're touching other providers, it'd be good to validate that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, some good work here. Really excited to have this feature. Anything else on mailer support? Mike, if you're listening, thank you. I think this one was one of AJ's, AWS Core, the JSON diff filter, but he's not here. Does anyone have any update on this one?
I think he found some other issues,
Yeah.
and it's currently not passing CI, so I think it's a hold at the moment and still in draft status.
Yep. Cool. All right. And I remember this one as well, WAF WAF 2.
This should probably be good to go. It was just adding additional functionality to the initial contribution around WAF v2 and adding in a mutation for associations to extend resources. But yeah, still needs another review, but otherwise it was looking good.
Yeah. And those were the ones I specifically wanted to call out, since we covered a bunch of these 2 weeks ago, and we just kind of came off a week's worth of holiday. Does anybody else have any of these jumping out at you, or any in process issues or bugs or PRs? Let me just look at issues real quick. I remember these doc fixes that were just small updates.
A couple of reviews that just went in right before the meeting. One was just the original subnet public capability went in as a generic capability, but subnet filter is now fallen PR. And then I think
This
there's
one?
the config poll rule fix as well. Yeah, so it was initially contributed as a gateway route table checking for an IGW against FSX, but it was even more useful to add that capability generically to all network attached resources. So that was done. This is just backfilling the last part of that PR capability, which is adding in the subnet filter for FSX. But then looking on, I think probably the other significant one is 7500, which is config poll rule fix, which is effectively deleting evaluations for resources that are no longer extant. Darren, I don't know if you had anything else on this one. It looks good on the code. The only challenge I think is getting one of the tests around config poll rules to pass on CI.
Yeah, I'll have my team member take a look at it and get that test passing. Thank you.
Where do you? Oh, is this the failing test right here? Okay.
You have to scroll up a bit, but oh, sorry, not that far.
Oh my
You have
god.
a very fast scroll wheel. Yeah, that's a test config poll.
Okay, gotcha. Let's see what else have we got. Anything jumping out here?
It's not in the list, but if we have time, can we go over a PR for ARM64 architecture? I think it was 7134.
Ooh, yeah. I'm always looking for ARM.
64. So
Yeah.
134.
I've gotten okay. So a couple things here. We've gotten a lot more experience, I think, about building ARM64 images. We don't actually have any yet as part of the Custodian build process. Definitely want to add those. I think the concern as part of the, well, let me go to this PR. So what does this PR do? So this PR effectively lets you configure the architecture for policy Lambda functions. ARM represents a decent savings on total Lambda cost for Custodian, the 20% per se. I think the question here is the way Custodian typically does provisioning is that it's directly uploading the packages and files on disk. I don't believe we, it's unclear, it needs to be just validated that we don't do any architecture specific files in that context. If we do, then we probably want to do something that's more reflexive as the default. Like if you're uploading from ARM, then provision ARM per se. But yeah, outside of that, I think that's probably the only concern to be for me is just making sure that we're not accidentally uploading things that won't work in that environment.
Got it. So do we want to kind of block uploading packages if we are choosing?
We kind of need to at the moment. I mean, the Custodian default is to effectively upload the dependency set that is currently specified. We have a couple PRs extant as far as making that into a layer so the actual policy functions get smaller. Still want to try to, would still love to see progress on those as well. But in this context, if we're uploading the full dependency set from the local disk, what we have, then we don't necessarily know. We just need to validate that. So if anyone is willing to try this out and give feedback on the PR, that would be great.
Got it. Cool. I think I can give it a shot and test it in one of our environments. Thanks.
Cool. Anything else? Nothing's really jumping out at me here.
I have an older PR. I posted in chat.
Ooh, let me snag it.
This is the one with the support for a cider list. I think the problem was just trying to get the CLA issue resolved. I think this is from Austin from Capital One. Looking at the bill status, I believe he has signed it, but using his current, I assume current GitHub username, but the original.
Yeah, so this is a longer discussion. I appreciate you bringing this up, by the way. This is a good topic. I want to extrapolate into a whole category of things that we need to resolve. And that is effectively when we did the transfer to CNCF in, August, July 2019, or Capital One did, then effectively we switched out. Technically, it wasn't on that date. I think we did a few more PRs for maybe a month or two with the old CLA in place. But effectively, with that switch out comes a new CLA enforcement. And CNCF itself, from a contributor sign-off perspective, can support either developer certificate of origin or a CLA. Unfortunately, their CLA setup is suboptimal, I think, is probably the right degree of phrasing, and as far as the complexity for both and usability and UX for both an individual as well as for an organization. I think I've heard from both numerous times about it, and at the same time, that is what we have. I think the real question to raise is what we have at the moment, to rephrase. The real question to rephrase is We have a lot of extant PRs that predate that. I think it is implicit that effective we have to go talk to, I think, to CNCF lawyers. George, if you would be up for tabling or just trying to figure out how to make a suitable, appropriate meeting for that, that would be useful.
Okay, cool. Keep
but
going.
we have-
I'm taking a bunch of CLA notes.
So
as we
we have a
talk,
bunch
but-
of extant PRs that were signed prior to the transfer of the project from Capital One to CNCF. A lot of those PRs are people that may no longer be extant in our community, but they were fully authorized at the time of the transfer. And the question is just making sure that that transfer conveys without doing additional sign-offs.
So is this a question for the CNCF committee
Yes.
to decide? Yeah.
Effectively, because this issue doesn't apply just PR.
Yeah.
We have like 80 PRs probably this applies to,
Mhm.
and just making sure that we get that we're doing the right thing as far as what protections and assistance are afforded by CNCF.
I have a dumb question. For this one specifically, couldn't we just squash and use his updated email address, or is that shady?
You're the one who's recording, man.
Oh, I don't know. I was just wondering, like, if it's the same person, you know what I mean? But I could totally understand why someone's like, no, of course you can't do that. But
From that perspective, it actually would need his employer sign off at the time as well, which I don't would be a problem per se. But
okay,
which is again part of the reason why we want to address this on a more wide-ranging basis, because this isn't unique to this PR.
yeah, got you. Okay, I'll follow up with the CNC. Amy's on vacation, but I think Jeff's around, so I could definitely start asking today.
Thank you, George.
Sorry, just had to make sure I got the notes on that. All right. Yeah, that's a bummer. Anything else? All right, everyone. I'll give you 39 minutes back. Welcome back again if you're coming back, and we'll see everyone in 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll see some of you in California or wherever reinforces. Is that New York City? Where is that?
Boston.
Oh, okay. Boston. Yeah, awesome. All right, great. And as usual, the notes will follow up here shortly. Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.